welcome. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today. We're talking about books, and the book this time is Betting on You by Lynn Painter. And this month, as you remember, I am focusing on books that I've wanted to read for a while, but haven't got a chance to read, so I'm reading them now. And the previous books that I've read this month were somewhat heavy. So this time I thought I'd go a little lighter. And Betting on You is a romantic comedy, and it is a YA fiction book. And my books this month have also dealt with characters who are struggling with something, whether it's an illness or a mental illness or just something in their life that's going on. And in this book, two of the characters are trying to deal with their parents' divorce. So let's get started. The book opens with Bailey taking a flight from Alaska to Omaha, Nebraska, where she and her mother are going to live after the breakup of her parents' marriage. Bailey is seated on the plane next to Charlie, and he is also on his way to Omaha. But in her emotional state, Charlie's cynicism is just a little too much for her to take, and she can't wait for the plane ride to be over. 3 years later, Bailey and her friend Nikisa are working at a hotel water park, and during training, Bailey sees another coworker, and that coworker is Charlie. But this time, they find themselves talking and having fun. And they find themselves looking forward to the times when they will be working and hanging out together. And it leads to a fake dating situation. And in the end, they begin to develop feelings for one another. Bailey is dealing with the after effects of her parents' divorce. Her father has a new family and his life in Alaska, and she hasn't talked to him for months. Her mother's relationship with her boyfriend seems to be deepening and developing. Neither of these situations is something that Bailey is entirely happy about. And so Charlie and her come up with a plan to invite some instability into her mother's relationship. This book's dedication reads, "This book is dedicated to the late Nora Ephron, the greatest rom-com writer of all time and the queen mother of autumnal comfort movies, and to the readers who create playlists, aesthetic boards, and full-on edits. Everyone should be so lucky as to connect with stories in such an immersive way." Nora Ephron is the writer of When Harry Met Sally, a 1989 romantic comedy movie. And this book has many of the elements that I loved so much in that movie. This book was delightful. It is a fun and light-hearted read. I cared about the characters, although I did question some of the things that they did. So what can we read for a similar experience? And we're keeping it light. So I'll suggest one adult fiction and one young adult fiction book, and they're both basically romantic comedies. And let's start with the adult fiction, and that book is Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Honestly, you could read just about any Emily Henry book for a similar reading experience. But this was the first Emily Henry book I read. I really like this book, so we're going to talk about this one. Nora's life is all about books. She reads them, and she is a literary agent. She feels like she's been neglecting her sister, so Nora agrees to go with her sister, Libby, to a small town for a sister trip. But in this small town, she keeps bumping into her work nemesis, Charlie, who is an equally bookish editor from the city. In this small town, she learns more about Charlie and begins to develop feelings for him. And now we'll move on to the young adult book. And it is another Lynn Painter book, and it is Better Than the Movies, which is the first in the Better Than the Movies series. Liz has liked Michael for a long time. But then he moved away, and honestly, Michael never noticed her. Now he is back, and she is determined to do anything to get him to notice her. Michael is friends with Liz's annoying neighbor, Wes, who has always been a pain. But as Liz and Wes partner together to try to get Michael to notice her, she begins to like being around Wes, which makes her reassess her beliefs about love. Well, there we are. Let's select our final book for June, and once again, it's going to be a book that I've wanted to read for a while, and in it, the character will be trying to deal with something, whether it's an illness or mental illness or just a problem that she hasn't been able to get through. She or he hasn't been able to work through in their life yet. And I think since we started with an adult fiction book and we did 2 young adult fiction books, I'm going to go back to the adult fiction section. So let me go see what I can find. This time I found a book that I've wanted to read for a while. It is a mystery. The author is Lucy Foley, and it takes place in one of my favorite cities, Paris. So it's The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley. We will be back in about a week to talk about this book. I hope that you will join me then, and until then, I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.